Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 9 of the Veilcast, and we're talking about crafters, because they're so important to Camelot Unchained. We're talking about under fire, hammering under fire, crafters' role in RvR. What are they going to do in combat while we're fighting? All the super cool stuff they're going to do. Joining me as always, Alistair. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Actually,
doing great?
It's cold in Brazil for for the first time in a long time.
What?
Yeah.
Cold in Brazil? I don't know. And Velik, how you doing? What do you got? Some orange juice?
I'm good. I've got OJ with extra super amounts of pulp. Because that's the only way I drink.
Gross. Disgusting.
More
Forget
pulp.
about that. Chris,
I want to chew my orange juice.
Last but not least, Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. First day on vacation, so I'm doing great.
First day of vacation, you've been up for 24 hours or something?
Almost 30 now.
Oh my
hours.
God.
I better see top posters on Realms Unchained, top poster on Camelot Unchained forums, top poster on Legend Gaming.
Goodness.
Not even.
Well, everybody,
I wasn't even home.
We'll ask Chris the questions because he's at 30 hours, no sleep. But we're talking about hammering under fire, a crafter's role. Let's just jump right in. I mean, crafters are super important to Camelot Unchained. And what do you guys think? I mean, we talked about crafters a little bit before. We talked about kind of what they're going to get to do. They get to use the Vox Mages. But they get to do a lot of stuff in combat too, right? They're not just stuck back in town. In fact, they can even make their own towns, right?
Yep.
How's this going to work? Velik, tell me.
Crafters rock.
Crafters do rock. I know, Chris, you're a huge crafter.
Yep.
We'll start with you, Chris.
There's a thing I've really been wondering about, actually, is because they've mentioned in a couple of videos that, at least the implication seems to be that they don't just want there to be the starter cities and then the RvR area is nothing but just fortifications and castles, but they want people actually building communities out there. They want people building stable cities, which is going to be interesting considering I imagine that'll take a lot of time and effort, and at the same time you've got people coming in there going, I want to smash your city.
Right, when you say building cities, we're talking about, like, you have other games, Guild Wars 2, ESO, Dark Age Camelot, all these games that had PvP, but the buildings were already out there, and you're just fighting over stuff the developers made. Here, it's not like that. It's kind of almost empty land, right? And you're building the buildings. Chris, is that something you're excited for as a crafter?
Yes, very much, because it's going to require a lot of cooperation, not just inside the guild. It's going to take quite a few guilds to actually make a community. And I'm wondering how it's going to work, because I've seen a few comments here and there about making a city will bring you advantage to your guild. So how do you, if you cooperate between 2, 3, 4 guilds to make a huge town right in the middle of the PvP map, who gets the benefits? How do you spread them among the different guilds?
Right.
So that's
How do you show
interesting.
everybody who actually did it, right?
Exactly.
They'll probably have to put banners up on buildings, but who does it? You know, is it just going to be a player thing? We agree, and oh, Chris, you put the banner of your guild over there, and I'll put the banner of my guild over here. Or is it some actual in-game mechanic? You know, like where you have the land claiming, and then it's weird. Yeah. So much stuff we have to learn still.
And they've talked about guilds being able to have like their own markets and stuff out in the RvR areas, probably not in the safe zones, because that would give them kind of a guild advantage. So you probably have guild markets and everything being set up.
Chat's talking about here what kind of benefits. So of course, there's just the visual benefit, right? At big guilds, you want to get your name out there. You want to kind of enforce yourself on the server and say, this is who we are. We're awesome. So you put up your banners. But what kind of actual benefits do you guys think there's going to be? Like,
guild market,
money, guild markets, exactly. You take a cut in the sales.
Yeah, the benefits come to the realm, and then more indirectly, and then directly, benefit the guild. So if you have, a bunch of stuff there that you built, everybody in the realm is gonna know, oh, that guild built this area, so You know, and now because of them, we have a trade post. Because of them, you know, we're safer, etc.
Do you have to have a building to sell something, or can I just stand on the road and sell my stuff?
I don't know. I don't
really
know.
don't know that.
We don't know yet.
I assume, my pure assumption, I assume that if you, because they're going to have some sort of permission system for building things, because you won't want people just building on top of other people's stuff. So I assume if someone starts building this keep or something in this area, and like maybe they get their guild has permissions, so then other people in their guild can build like shops in there. And so then if that becomes a hub in the middle of your faction territory, your guild obviously prospers from having that trade available.
Exactly. That's. I'm thinking it might work a bit like it works on Archage for the castles. When a guild builds a castle, around the castle you have an area where it's exclusively reserved for the guild members to build their houses. It's all around the castle. It's basically claim land. So I'm suspecting that it's going to be the same if you build a big keep. But how it works, how it restricts from other people building, that's going to be interesting also, because that's going to be open for negotiation depending on what the system is.
Yeah, I mean, it gives the guild that built whatever castle it is control, right? If it gives you rights to build more and rights to edit the building, essentially, you know, oh, there's a wall, I'm going to put another wall there and stuff. So I assume we'll be able to create, you know, create ranks within the guild that have building rights and ranks within the guild that don't. You know, ranks within the guild that have the right to destroy, ranks that only have the right to repair. All these details, I think, the land claiming needs to be tied to guilds closely, so that would be the benefit of a guild building something on a territory.
So you think it'll be like permissions part of the guild? Because in a lot of games they have guilds, and then you can get stuff out of the bank. You can, but they're kind of pointless almost, right? But here it could really play a big factor. Is, you know, you're not allowed to build anything because you're a peon, right? You're at the bottom of the totem pole. Could this also be for alliances though? Because we're talking about how different guilds will have to join maybe together to kind of like block out, like, this is our area. Could you also maybe have an alliance where you have permissions within that as well, or?
It's been a huge debate on the forums, with one poster strongly advocating for multi-guilding. It's been confirmed that there won't be any multi-guilding, so probably no official.
But an alliance is not a multi-guilding
alliance.
Right?
Yeah, I like alliances.
An alliance
is multi-guild. So
an alliance is just a structure where guilds are inside. You don't have a roster.
When you make an alliance system in the game, an official one built in, it feels like a multi-guilding. So it's gonna be tough to do that without just making a multi-guild like ESO does or things like that.
Well, a lot of games have that where you can multi-guild, you can have alliances, but it's kind of just like maybe another chat box, right? It's kind of just like you could do it on the forums. We might need something like that in this game when we're talking about building and tearing down and having permissions to sell stuff. And when you have this land that's so important, I remember in Arcage, it was a huge deal running out there trying to get area together. I mean, that could be, people in chat are talking about how this could be like huge infighting. Like, you took my spot, I needed that square for my...
The land claim was, I was there for the release of Archage.
Yeah,
I was in the alpha for a few months. We had basically the whole game, the whole land on each server was taken in 2 hours, not even. I think it took less than an hour for every single piece of land to be taken. That was insane.
Yeah.
Everybody was rushing.
Right, and they didn't have their buildings done. You couldn't build the building that quick. But you would claim, I'm going to build a building on a square, and you'd have like a week or so to put something on that. Do you think it's going to work like that here in Camelot Unchained? You can't build stuff that fast, we know. You claim an area, or is it...
That's
I don't know.
It's gonna be very tough, and we don't have any details on that. It could be tied to alliances, and I think alliances are something they can totally do. I mean, I come from a background with EVE Online in it, and in EVE Online, their alliances work fine. It's a name and a chat box, as you said. It's another chat tab you go to, but it also has other implications.
It's a logical structure, right? You don't see tags over people's head.
You don't see tags over people's heads necessarily, but you can go to a menu and see what alliances they've been in and which ones they're in currently. There may be permissions tied to that. So if you go in one guild's zone of control, they may see you as a friend or as an alliance member instead of seeing you as red enemy person that came into their territory. So there are permissions and stuff with that too. And I think that could possibly work. Really, I don't want to see any system in this game where people claim land without building on it. I would prefer to see something where building on something claims it, not the other way around. Not claim it and then build on it. You start building on it, now you have
so it like grows. Like you build and then your area influence kind of grows and you can keep building as you go out. Because this is really important because
I like that.
It's not just a random building. Like, this is all your time and your effort and your resources. Like, if someone encroaches on your territory and you can't finish your wall to build in your keep and you can't put your tower up, right? Like, they totally mess you up, right? Like, and I'm surprised we don't. Yeah, it can definitely happen. Like, hey, we're trying to finish. What if the Great Wall of China? They're building that thing, and then someone else is like, "Oh, hey, I put this building here. You got a 4-foot gap in the hole, right? Like,
you got to build around my my water well."
Right. A lot of work for the diplomacy officers. A lot of work.
Right.
No, it's just okay. It's gonna be a penis building.
It is.
Yeah, in the middle of the Wall of China.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have someone who's trying to recreate like Helm's Deep, right? This got this awesome huge thing, and like just out of frame, there's gonna be like some stupid thing. Like, I'm not worried about that.
That's actually something I'm worried about. The stupid buildings, the insane ones that don't fit in the land, that have no purpose but grieving others. How they're gonna prevent that?
Yeah. Honestly, I think the best way to deal with this is to tie building out an RvR area directly to guilds, and not just small guilds. I think in order to build any kind of structure out in the RvR area, it should take a pretty large quantity of materials. You need several people working together. It's not just one crafter goes out there and goes, I want to build a hut. Ting, 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 hut. No, you need like you and a bunch of other people getting resources and hauling them out there.
I know there's a lot of people are going to have a problem with that. I mean, I know we're all in big guilds and we're going to have... There's a lot of people who would... Because this is a huge draw. There's a lot of crafters.
I have zero empathy for those people.
Zero empathy. This is a huge
to be able to do stuff, but I think crafters are going to need other people to help them do it.
Let's ask, why would you need other people? Why would you need another guild? Because we've talked about before how maybe veil storms kind of degrade your stuff, right? So it should take effort. If someone builds a stupid building and then they don't watch it, it should degrade over time. And that could be a reason why a big guild helps you out, right?
Well, also, and it doesn't your stuff is eventually going to get destroyed. So if your stuff gets destroyed, you need to rebuild it. Now, I'm not saying one person couldn't possibly get up enough resources to build a building, but if he goes up there and builds a building, then someone smashes it, it's going to take him forever to get enough resources again, whereas a guild can get those much quicker.
Yeah, the buildings, the buildings that have no purpose will eventually just, they're going to be extremely hard to build because nobody's going to see the reason to do that. And if the crafter is building that building, or the crafter that wants to build that building doesn't have some support from people protecting him, from the realm, etc., he shouldn't be able to build it. Yeah, he's going to be like, oh, it's going to take forever for me to take these materials over there by myself. And and to be honest, depending on how rare and hard they make it for us to gather materials. Because they said, materials are just not going to be, oh, look, 10 nodes of iron. You're going to have mines. They might be uncontested territory. People will be fighting for them. It will be very specific places where you gather stuff. So I imagine, if I was a crafter and I had just went out on an expedition with my friends, gilded or not, just, I went out and gathered a bunch of stone, and I came back and I have all this stone that I brought on a caravan to the safe base. And now I'm thinking, well, what do I do with this stone? I'm going to sell some. And then start selling, and this guy comes, I want to buy half your stone. Like, why? Oh, because I want to build this keep over there. No. I'm not going to sell you that, I mean, I'm saving this stone to actually be useful for something, I'm going to sell it to somebody that I know is going to use it to something that helps the realm, because I don't want to have wasted my time, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's also a good point in tying to guilds and collaboration with other people. in order to get most of these resources, you're probably going to have to go out into enemy territory, as we talked about in previous videos. Yeah. So you're going to have to work with other people to even survive the effort of going out there and harvesting them in the first place.
And if you're alone, also, you build a stupid building in the middle of nowhere. You're alone. You have no guild to protect that, and then the enemies arrive and they see a building that's candy. I'm going to deconstruct that and get the resources.
Get all the materials. Yeah.
That's exactly. You're building one last. Exactly, you're building one last a minute in enemies with enemies around.
Somebody finds it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of broken into maybe like kind of two sort of sections, right? We're talking about crafters and what you can do besides sitting at home and just crafting. The first part of this is kind of preparing for combat, right? And so we're talking about how you get land, how you get area that you get to choose,
roads,
right? So before we even get to in combat fighting, what the crafter gets to do, before that, what else can crafters do, right? Like what else? Let's say you make a crafter, you're gonna make stuff in your city, making items. We can also build buildings, and we don't know who gets to do that or how.
I'm gonna make a highway system.
Let's talk about the highway system, because they have said a little bit how running on an actual road. You run faster.
You run faster, yeah.
I mean, the roads are going to be extremely useful, especially for crafters, because of hauling. Your caravan will move faster on the road than in the wilderness, so that's going to be essential to carry resources from one point to the other. It's going to take. I think that's going to bring a lot of crafters, not necessarily in the same guild, but in the same server. That's going to bring crafters together to actually build a workable road system. And then that's going to bring the enemies together to destroy it. Because the roads will be destroyable as well. So that's going to be another strategy as well, and PvP occasions.
I see crafters being a very strong factor in pushing for more small group PvP combat in the RvR area, because they're going to be out in groups scavenging and getting materials, and that's going to probably involve, a couple of crafters and a couple people defending them out roving around, and those are going to, small group combat is going to happen. The same thing for roads. They're going to have to be building it. While they're building it, they can't be by themselves, because someone will just ride by and go and kill them. So they're going to have to be him, maybe a couple of guards, a couple crafters all working on the same road, kind of moving out, and so that will work towards a more scattered small group skirmishes.
How scattered do you think it's going to be? Like, how big do we think the world is going to be? Is it going to be so big that you can go a long ways without seeing buildings? Like, and there's going to be these little pockets of, like, cities? Or is it going to be small enough where a lot of it's built up? What do you, I mean?
Yeah, we don't know yet,
but it's going to be a little round.
It's going to be really big.
It's the entire world for all intents and purposes. So
yeah, it will depend on the islands, I guess, too. Like if you're on an island that has, because the world is divided on islands, right? So if you're on a big island, then there might be some big area of that island where nobody builds because they know it's very easy to attack, or there's just nothing around it. It's hard to defend, whatever. So we'll go for miles where it's just a road, because everybody who tried to build something there got screwed. Yeah. Right, but there will be islands where the entire island has stuff, because it has mountains that protect the buildings. It's easy to defend, and there are many mines around it, so people can quickly bring the resource to build stuff, whatever they want. And the island's not so big, so it's easier to defend. So all of that will influence. It's not only how big the world is in total; it's also how big each island is, and how the stabilizer system works, etc., etc. So then we can start to getting on all kinds of mechanics that we don't have no detail about, and it's hard to make any claims.
But Alistair, you think there can be like maybe islands, maybe closer to the safe zone, but they're going to be like really built up. We're talking like kind of huge player-made cities, because you haven't really seen anything like that. We've seen maybe little. Yeah.
Well, obviously we're not seeing anything like that at the start, right? Because rebuilding something like that might take like 6 months, a year, of people protecting it and gathering resources and bringing it back and improving on whatever is already there,
and claiming islands to make enough continuous land to actually build a city. Maybe the islands will be too small to actually build any meaningful city before we actually pull them together.
Yeah, and people are talking in the chat here. Will the materials be free for all? before it's put into a structure. We don't know yet. I mean, they have talked about player looting, that there will be some. They have talked about all that kind of stuff, but we don't know exactly how the looting rule set will work, if at all. And we don't know exactly how materials can be looted and caravan.
It's strongly suspected that the cards. It's strongly suspected that the cards will be lootable, right. Which is why they have the holding system. So it is another occasion to PvP and to have the same risk reward. Either you fill your cart with resources, it will move probably slower, but you will be holding more resources, but it's riskier. Yeah. Or your cart being less full, you move faster, but you're carrying less resources.
And that's why you need those roads. Let me ask again, I know, what else are cities used for, right? It sounds cool, like this huge player-made city, and it takes a lot of time, and it gives you a place to sell your stuff. Do we know any other reason why, besides just for the fun of it, like Minecraft, but what else is it used for?
There's defensive purposes, obviously, but also we have to keep in mind you will want to have some of these settlements for as far out as you can into the RvR area, because eventually people are going to run out of ammo. They've got to go somewhere for ammo. They can make basic arrows and stuff, but eventually, you need to go back between fights and get ammo. You don't want to have to go all the way back to the safe zone to get more arrows, repair your gear. It would be nice to have a place that's closer to the front lines, that's strategic and you can get to.
Yeah, those places might not get so big or well built because it's not worth investing on them, because they could get raided at any time. But they need to be strong enough to withstand simple attacks and provide some safety, right?
Right. It gives you a place to retreat to, a place to defend when you're getting attacked, a place that you could launch out. And really, I mean, I see in chat here, I think Cloister's talking about what kind of buildings can you make. This isn't like other games where it's like you buy a blueprint, you put some resources in, and boom, there's your building, and they all look the same. You can literally make anything that you can think of, basically. Kind of like Minecraft. Like
you make your blueprints.
Right, you make your blueprint. And the cool thing is, you'll find out people who are really good at making strategic defenses. There's going to be somebody on the server, all their stuff is really good to defend. It lasts a long time, right? So when you find out, hey, Chris just made a new tower out to the east, you know that thing's going to be good, and you're going to go out there and fight there. And that's a way for crafters kind of make their name and be known, like their stuff can be good. Let's shift a little bit into, we've talked about before combat. You can build stuff and you can, get resources and run them back. What about in combat, though? There's a giant fight going on. What are the crafters going to be doing that?
I hope not too much. As a crafter, I hope not too much, because this game will be very crafter-centric. I don't want the fight to be so blocked if you don't have crafters in your team that it's not enjoyable for the other classes. So hopefully some sort of support, but nothing more than that. I don't want crafters to be fighters.
I would hope they could at least
defend
themselves.
They can assist with temporary buildings, like, oh, look, we're sieging the big castle. If we approach here, they will have a line of shooting on us. So build a big wall just to protect us, and we'll hide behind the wall for a few minutes until we can set up the siege and then attack. I mean, that kind of stuff. I assume, obviously,
barricades, things like that.
Yeah, and obviously, if the crafters on the defending team, then they have to, repair the structure that is being
damaged. Are they the only ones that can repair? Can other people repair? Where do siege engines come from? I mean, for example, ESO, which is out there, anybody can buy a siege, they can plop it down, they can start using it. This game is crafter focused. Can anybody make siege? Can anybody repair?
I hope not. I really hope crafters are the only ones that can build the siege. I do really hope that other people can carry a siege on them, and depending on the siege, maybe even put it in place. Maybe other people can put in place like really simple siege, and maybe only crafters can put together like complex siege or something. But I don't really want to see other people just buy. Well, obviously they won't be buying siege just off a vendor, but I just don't want them, being like, oh look, catapult, like we see right now in TISO.
In TISO, yeah.
So they can be pack mules, because they have talked about how the stronger you are, the more you can carry. So maybe you need that giant who's really strong to carry all the stuff.
You have a golem that comes with, pulling 3 siege machines, and then everybody's like, okay, the crafters arrived, and then he puts the siege machine down. Everybody starts to operate them. Operating should be something that anybody can do.
Yeah, Ibsen and Lakevrin mentioned building and repairing. Like I could see crafters being able to erect them faster than other people. Like maybe they can put them up, twice as fast as somebody else can put up a catapult. The other people can still do it, but maybe it does take time to actually engage in siege warfare. And I would kind of like to see that. Like, see you have to take like 2 minutes to actually erect something.
Yeah. So if you have a good defending team and the enemy that is attacking has no crafters, that it's possible for the defending team to keep disrupting the siege mounting all the time. Every time, hello, they're starting a siege, go attack them, interrupt it, and then, oh, they're starting over there, go there and attack it. But if you have crafters, then it's almost impossible to do that, because they will bring up the siege fast, and then everybody will be in position to defend. So
yeah, because I kind of hate in TISO where you pretty much put it up instantaneously. It's like catapult. I would like to see someone sitting there for at least like 30 seconds to a minute going tink tink tink, I'm putting it up, tink 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 tink, I'm putting it up. And you've got like 4 or 5 of them doing it, but the defenders know if they get those catapults up, they're screwed. So they need to go out there and take them down.
You guys think though that anybody should be able to put it up? Maybe crafters do it faster or better, but anybody, because they've talked about how everybody has maybe a little bit of like basic crafting. Should it be something they have to?
I could go either way.
Should they have to invest into it? Because I think like, can any of us go out and make a siege engine? No, I don't know how.
Yeah, maybe that.
But to operate it. For example, you don't need to be an engineer to operate a RAM. It's the functioning is basic.
Actually,
but
it's good if you're not an engineer.
For a trebuchet or a catapult, I'd say if you, as a combatant, use it, maybe not half, but it does less damage than if a crafter operates it. Mm-hmm. But you can still operate it, so it doesn't impede your siege that no crafter are online at that time.
But should these be skills that you have to use or that you have to train up, or the more you use them, the better you get? Or is it just...
I'd like to see crafters able to skill into it, but not other classes.
But not combatants. Combatants would have it like they have for Archer to make basic arrows, for combatants to sharpen their blades. Yeah. Exactly. So something basic that they don't have to work on, but is very limited.
So if a crafter can get better, what do they get better at? We talked a little bit, maybe they can shoot it faster, maybe they can do more damage. Mm-hmm. Those are kind of cool, but kind of boring. Like, what else? Like
repairing them during the siege.
Okay.
As
maybe
they get
different
damaged.
types of ammunition.
Also,
other people aren't good enough to handle the other types of ammunition, so maybe there's like liquid fire or something that some of the crafters could actually throw out of a catapult. Mm-hmm. And one idea I had was it goes back a step, but one idea I had about the deployment is what if crafters are the only ones that can put up siege weapons for the most part, but other people can move them. So, like, theoretically, a crafter could put a bunch of them down in a safe zone, and then warriors could start slowly dragging them down to the battle lines. But a crafter could actually get down to the battle line and just start putting them up. But as an option, other people could haul them, really slowly.
Yeah, because you're talking about while you're building them, if you get interrupted, it stops you. So you got to build them further back and then drag them up. While you're dragging them, you're getting attacked. That's a cool
Unless
idea.
You're an awesome siege crafter, and then you can run up there and get some defenders up and just real quick start hammering.
Or you can put up some of those walls, the ice walls and stuff they've been talking about, and the earth walls. We've seen some screenshots.
Protect the siege while it's being built, Right. And I think one thing that they talked about how items in this game don't last forever, right? After a while, things break and you lose them. So when it's repaired by some random person who's not a crafter, then let's suppose every time you repair an item, the maximum durability for the item decays. That's a way of doing it, right? So the item starts with 50 durability, you repair, it's now 45 maximum durability. And then, but if it's a crafter, it decays slower because the crafter knows what he's doing better. So instead of losing 5, you lose just 3 points or something,
They had a system like that in Dark Age of Camelot for items.
Yeah, so crafters, preserve your items for long. But if you don't have a crafter around, you can repair it yourself, right? So all of that can give crafters a value. But like Lujati said on the chat, in combat, if you find a crafter 1v1, the crafter is kind of screwed, and he's not going to be able to stand unless it's like
if a combatant fights 4 or 5 crafters, the crafters should have a chance, but it doesn't have to be equal. The crafters are not fighters, so 1v1 I expect to be just face rolled completely, unless I'm gathering and I've had time to maybe set traps, prepare my own battlefield to be able to not damage and kill people, but to slow people enough for me to escape.
That was one idea I actually had. One question is, do we think... I kind of think it would be cool if crafters could actually lay some type of like battlefield traps, like maybe build caltrops or something like things we've seen from TISO. That either they could use or maybe other people could use, but like maybe they could even go and actually lay down different traps. That could even be something you could do for city building wise, like the little I forget what they're called, but the Roman spikes that are stuck in holes in the ground so people step on them. Then there pit traps, things like that you could actually set up. That would
spike pits.
Kind of a.
I mean, they definitely do plan on having traps because they talked specifically about the depths, and when you lose the depths, you're kicked out. But leaving traps and spike traps and all sorts of stuff, when the new people come in, they're being attacked. So there's definitely are.
Maybe only crafters can leave that kind of permanent traps, and they can sell some simple, they can sell some spikes and stuff to non-crafters. They can use during fights on a temporary basis, but not in a permanent one.
It's like a
they
one
cannot
use.
set it up.
One use, and the
just like you have
call
traps. Just like you have call traps in ESO, you throw it, slow people down a little bit, do a little bit of damage, and then they disappear after a minute. It's not going to be something standing there for hours. So only crafters can do that, right?
Yeah. Let me ask you guys. I have a crazy idea here, and I know the answer is going to be
BSC.
no. I know, right? It's not possible. But let me preface this: we know the game has physics, right? Your character has mass stuff. There's actual physics in the game. Okay.
Yeah.
With actual physics in the game, and crafters having this like open sandbox that you can build any shape you want, right? Is it possible that instead of siege items being specific, like here's a ram, here's a trebuchet, maybe you can piece together different parts of siege to make your own siege weapons? Is that a possibility?
I don't see why not.
Have you been playing Besieged?
Like you could make like a trebuchet, maybe make a small trebuchet that shoots really fast, or maybe make a huge one that's got a really long arm and shoots really far. Because the in-game physics, it calculates how far it's going to go, how hard it hits.
So what you actually mean is merging siege building with the ability customization system.
Like what I'm talking about is like you get to build it. Like I want the arm of the siege to be this big, and I want the legs to be this big. And like if you mess up and your siege, the legs on your catapult aren't strong enough, it breaks in mid-use and it falls down. And like, is that a possibility at all to create your own?
I actually would like that. That
sounds almost too complex.
That's right, it's complex.
Yes, but they also said that there's no recipe for anything in crafting, so you will have to have probably some trial and error. And I would love that because it gives, as we said, some crafts will take days, sometimes weeks. So crafters need things to do. Learning to make a siege.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna quote my cow friend and say, "This is very complex idea for a game with goal of killing elf."
I know, but think the whole game is based on you can make your own abilities, right? They give you the pieces. You can make your own buildings. It's not pre-built buildings. Wouldn't it be strange in this game where everything is freeform, basically, to say, "Here's a catapult. Every catapult looks the same. You put it down, and that's just the way it is." Wouldn't that be kind of lame, kind of cheaping out?
I think the level of from crazy to possible would be in making it more similar to the ability customization system, where maybe you don't preset it, but like Chris said, with crafting, you're gonna have to mix ingredients and go, okay, well I mix this and this and I get this, so you'll be able to mix things together and maybe through your choices make different types of siege weapons, catapults with faster throw, that kind of stuff.
Machine gun.
Yeah.
No?
So they'll have some pre-built items that you put together. You get to pick the 5 or 6 pieces you want to make. I still think it'd be cool if it was totally freeform. You get to make this giant siege engine.
I would love that, but it would be crazy, completely crazy.
Right? I
know.
know.
A lot of
demon
people
head.
would hate that.
Yeah. You can make a giant demon head that breathes fire that rolls up to the cat. Right?
Hey, that would be cool. I think we need some level siege weapons that people can build that have like demon horns and stuff. It'd be great.
See, it's got flames shooting out of it.
With a smiley on it,
Seriously.
Yes.
I know it'd be complicated.
Let's just merge crafting with Cube and Besieged. Let's get the designers from Besieged in here, and we'll just kind of...
I told you it was a crazy idea. I still think it'd be cool.
It'd
be cool.
This going BSC.
That is my BSC idea. Why can't they do it? They have physics. They have the cube. You could put pieces together.
I wouldn't say they couldn't do it. It would just be a matter of
they're going to have
they
items.
should do it.
Would people use it? The problem is more, would people use it if making siege engines becomes too complicated?
Right.
A lot of people will first complain about it and then not use it.
Yeah, maybe not at launch. Maybe there could be a siege patch that introduces all
You don't
that.
think so? People build their own
extension.
buildings. People in Minecraft, you spend hours. People in Camelot Unchained are going to spend hours and hours and hours, days and months building their own building. That's too complicated compared to a blueprint. Not only that, you can build your own weapons. You can build this giant ram that's huge and has the head of a ram, and you know what I mean?
Ram TTP.
A penis ram.
God.
You guys.
We're just trolling at this point. Sorry.
I still think it would be cool. So let me ask you, Chris. Let's get back on point here. We know you can craft all the items in game. You can use the Vox Magus. You're going to be able to build stuff better than other builders. And in combat, you're going to be able to You're going to have something to do with siege. Is there enough for you to be able to play a crafter full time, 100% of the time?
I think so. We also forgot to talk. We talked about the attacking side, but there's the defending side as well. For example, I don't want to see crafters being able to repair a wall while somebody is shooting a catapult at it. But you can have some temporary repairs, like a blockade to close a hole in your wall, but a wooden blockade. You can't just build mortar and bricks in the middle of a battlefield. No, but you can actually bring a palisade and close a hole in your wall. Some emergency repairs.
Instead of repairing, what about bolstering? Like if they make some wooden bolsters for the wall, that while it's being hit, they can go throw that on there, add some temporary HP to it or something before it goes down.
But no actual building during a siege. I really don't want to see that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to start. The guys are sieging your castle, and the crafter is like stirring concrete. Like, okay, guys, just a minute, getting ready here. It doesn't make much sense. But yeah, temporary builds. Like okay, we have they're breaching the gate, but after the gate there's a little tunnel. So build this wooden wall, which is really fast, and then block the tunnel. So even if they break the gate, they will have to again break another wooden wall to get in. So crafters can build stuff and temporary items that will delay the attackers.
Should
enforce the door.
If a wall's being attacked, should it block them from building in that whole area, not just on the wall, but because otherwise, what's to stop somebody from building a wall right behind that wall while it's being hit?
Well, how quick can you build the wall? I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly.
I would say if you have enough siege, you should be able to take the wall down. 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Yeah. Building a wall should take hours. You know what I mean? I would think even if you have all the resources.
And maybe they can just make it so if there's anything under attack in the vicinity, you just can't build it. You know,
can't build at all.
So you can build just like ESO. You know, you can't repair a wall that is getting shot. The moment it gets shot, it has to be undamaged for like a minute or so before anybody can actually repair it. So they can do a similar system. You know, oh, this wall just got shot. You can't repair a wall that is getting shot. Otherwise, you know, it's crafters repairing on one side, people shooting on the other. You know, it's a number game. It gets kind of silly, right? So it has to have, you know, they can put some systems in place that will not allow for people to just build walls behind walls behind walls and just, you know, eventually, as long as there's room, right? That would be just dumb.
What about... Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, we're kind of going back, we were talking about traps, and we were just talking about physics. Do you think it's possible to make, like, a trap where, and not even just traps, but also the walls? What if you blow out the bottom of the wall? Does the whole wall collapse and fall down? Or...
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
I think they've said that if people fall off walls, they'll take damage and stuff.
But does that work for the wall too? When you attack, because in a lot of games, it's like you attack the side of the wall, and then there's a specific place where it opens up, right? But here, we should be able to attack anywhere we want. Can I attack the bottom of the side of the tower, and structurally, when I destroy enough of it, the whole thing collapses and falls down?
I hope so. We don't know exactly how physics will work for the buildings themselves. Yeah,
but
it's not the voxel system, so. We know how the voxel system works with the physics, but they're building their own system, so we don't really know how it's gonna work. I hope it's gonna work in some way like the voxel. If you actually manage to, it's gonna be harder because you have the whole weight of the wall pinning on that. But if you manage to break the foundation of the wall, the whole wall should be coming down.
Yeah, I mean, in chat, it's been just linked the user stories from the Camelot Unchained website, and it says, as a backer, I like structures to be able to collapse based off of block placement, building material stats, and damage taken. So it looks like this is something they're actually working on, which is super exciting to me, because even... like in other games, destroying a wall and stuff is fun, but when it's the same spot every time, it's the same hole, it's cookie cutter.
It gets boring.
Yeah, it gets boring. There's not that's
getting
no
to
sandbox.
50%. Okay.
Yeah, and
get ready to charge.
As a crafter, I think that'd be super cool. What if you create a tower or a wall in a specific way, where when it collapses, it falls on top of the people below and it kills them, right? Or you have a bunch of people up on a tower shooting you. Well, you blow up the tower and it collapses on top of them. That could be some, a lot of fun stuff. I think.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Earlier it's kind of related. Earlier for roles about crafters, someone actually mentioned crafters being sappers, like have crafters able to go up to the wall, put some sort of explosive or somehow weaken the structure of the wall and cause it to come down. If they can get to the wall without dying, obviously.
Yep.
Right. It's like that. That scene in Lord of the Rings.
Put them 5 priests around them, popping shields,
It's that scene in
like
Lord of the Rings.
Like umbrellas, they open to shoot.
Right. You run up with a bomb and it blows up. And
Jar Jar.
I think it's definitely cool. I mean, I don't play a crafter a lot, usually because it's kind of meaningless in a lot of games. It's why bother?
It is.
And here, I mean, there's so much cool stuff that you can do. That you can only do as a crafter. So I think a lot of people will play, because even I think in other games like in first-person shooters and stuff, you have that class who like puts down turrets, and they're more of like a support kind of character. That's what you're doing here. You're like a support. You're kind of helping everybody, but you're still engaged in the action. But you're not like hitting them with a sword. You're building a giant trebuchet that knocks down their castle. So definitely a lot of cool stuff. What do you guys think? Final thoughts on crafters as far as getting into combat, during combat, how it's all going to work? What do you think on the system?
I think there's a lot of emergent gameplay that can come out just from gathering alone, and then there's the rest of the emergent gameplay that can come out from actual crafting. Where like you're building stuff and you need to get the materials from one place to the other. So that's a lot of opportunities for PvP, people fighting for resources, stealing from each other, etc., etc. And then you have the whole, actually holding resources like holding a mine, holding a forest that has, trees that have strong wood that you can use to build whatever, so all of that. Crafting is going to dictate. Crafting is the game, to be honest. It's going to dictate where people go, why they go there, why do they build it, how important places are. It's all based on materials that are around, materials that are available nearby or whatever, or that are being held there. Just, have this outpost, and this is where all the crafting stuff goes before it goes out in caravans to the main city. Okay, then that outpost is very important, because if somebody raids when it's full of stuff, they're just going to steal all your stuff, So all of that is very cool. And I think it gives crafters plenty of stuff to do that is not just sitting on their voxel mages doing stuff. They're just going to put stuff on the voxel mages to craft whatever they need, and then they have all of this. They can go on a siege to assist while the voxel mages crafting stuff. They can go gather. They can, make caravans, etc. There is a lot of room for crafters to be. I like where it's going, but we just need more specific information, I think.
I agree.
Chris, what do you think? What do you think about, as the biggest crafter we know, how do you feel in CU as a crafter? You excited, right?
I'm really excited. There's a lot of things that really get me excited about being a crafter, having a crafter class, but also afraid, because even as a crafter, there's a lot of importance right now in that game for crafters. I don't want them to be essential also for sieges, for PvP. So I want them to be a bonus. You have crafters in your team. That's going to make sieging a castle or a keep or destroying something faster. But they shouldn't be essential. Because they're already essential for the stuff.
Everything else.
Stuff, all your gear, houses, everything. Exactly. They're pretty much essential for the whole economy of the game. So I really don't want to see them also being essential for sieges. So I'm really excited, but with some reserve.
Right.
Yeah, I would really like to see crafters. I mean, as Alistair said, crafters really can be like the driving force for this game. They can cause all kinds of emergent PvP to happen. They're really going to push the infrastructure of the game, and they're going to be highly dependent on organization. I really want to see crafters. One, I do want to see them with some basic ability to defend themselves. They need to have some kind of a combat ability. I'm not saying they should do lots of damage, but if someone runs up to kill them, they should at least be able to swing the hammer at them or something, to defend themselves. I don't think they should. I also agree. 1-on-1, they shouldn't stand a chance against a combatant. But maybe 5-on-1, they might at least stand some kind of a chance of taking them out. However, I digress. I want to see crafters able to play just like the other classes. I want to see them playing how they want to play. If somebody wants to make a crafter that focuses on siege weapons, and he focuses on making the best siege weapons, I would like to see him maybe even able to take a role in the battlefield. Maybe he's able to specialize some of his skills in using the siege weapon faster, building it faster, maybe specialized ammunition. I don't know. So that if somebody wants to be like a combat crafter with siege weapons, they can do that. They can go out there and do that. Whereas if somebody wants to build fortifications, they can just put all their points in fortifications. They don't build siege weapons, or maybe they build special defensive siege weapons like catapults that can go on top of walls or something. That would be pretty cool. Maybe they can build traps. Maybe those people can actually build some traps that they can lay out ahead of time in the field and stuff. Things like that. So I would like to see crafters being able to specialize, which I think I think that's the intent.
Tanks,
I think that's the intent. They can specialize in different areas. So some of them may be seen in combat, but not necessarily all of them. Some of them just want to gather and build weapons, so they're going to be in the safe zone all day long, just with their little vox mages playing their piano and summoning up a sword for other people to use.
Right. I think for me, I think the coolest thing, and you touched on it, Alistair, is how it's emerging gameplay. We're not going to get tired of the same keep that you've been at 100 times, round robin. It's it's going to be new and interesting and changing, and stuff is going to evolve over time. Your tactics, it used to be people built really tall towers so they could shoot far. Well, then those fell down. They were easy to destroy. Some people are building like short, really thick walls and like all these kind of tactics and things that are going to change, which I'm super excited for.
Yeah, experience is going to teach everybody, including the crafters.
And it'll evolve over time. It'll change.
Everybody's like, oh, this kind of building really doesn't work anymore because everybody knows already that if they shoot here, it falls really fast. So let's make something else.
And that's something you don't see in other games. Guild Wars 2, ESO, even Dark Age of Camelot. These games don't have that because it's all pre-built, already out there for you. I'm super excited. We talked about crafters a lot because they're so important, and it's going to make this game different than other games.
Yes.
It's really going to set it apart, which is awesome. Yeah, so I think it's awesome if you like playing a crafter. If you want to play, if you've never played a crafter, this is definitely the kind of game to at least try it out. It's going to be super awesome. Next week is going to be episode 10 of the Veilcast. We've hit double digits. I don't know. I think we'll hit maybe triple digits before the game actually comes out. But
most likely.
Why not?
Right?
Why not?
Right.
Weekly. So.
Right. Next week, everybody who's watching in chat, thank you to the 30-some people who were there. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know. Write in. Let us know. Message us. We're on the official forums. We're on Reddit. Obviously, my YouTube channel. But let us know. What are you thinking about? Tell us what you're thinking as far as topics and conversations and things we haven't talked about. If you're interested on being on the show, let me know. We want to have more people and guests on the show. Alistair, go ahead.
And it doesn't matter the community you're on, right? I mean, we are from Legend Gaming, so visit Legend Gaming website. By the way, it's on there. You probably see me under my name,
right?
But go there, discuss with us, join, have a chat. You don't need to join the community; it's open to everybody. But one thing that we want to see, people from different areas of the community coming in here. Veilcast is a Camelot Unchained community thing. It's organized by Legend Gaming, but it doesn't belong to Legend Gaming. We want to have different people here with us that can add different opinions, all of that, and that would be awesome. So just guild leaders, officers, people who want, who have experience with podcasts, getting content with us, with me, with this, in the forums, whatever, you find it easier. And let us know. Hey, I have this guy here. He has a good camera, microphone. He wants to participate. Let's get stuff going. Let's make this a community thing.
Yeah, and you can find Alistair and all of us at Legend Gaming if you want to join the guild or Veritas. Also, Chris, we have the fan site, right, at Realms Unchained.
Mm-hmm. Realms Unchained. It's getting started. We're seeing some activities. We even have some CSE members there. We keep it updated. We would love to see you guys on the forums. There's a thread also on Realms Unchained to discuss the Veilcast, to discuss the actual last episode, or if you have ideas for future shows, don't hesitate to come and we'll be there.
Awesome. So there's ideas.
You're welcome.
New show ideas.
And that's the first site with a forum that is not reserved for backers. So that
if you have
would
friends,
be
tell
great.
them if they're not backers. We can need more non-backers.
They can still come discuss on the Realms Unchained forums. Exactly.
Yeah.
They haven't beat these topics to death like the rest of us have.
Right.
Yep.
Velik, where can everybody follow you?
At Xenoduck on Twitter. You can also find me on Realms Unchained because I'm all over there.
Awesome. And of course, you can find me on YouTube/@Ziz or live stream on Twitch.tv/@Ziz. Thank you all for watching. That's it for the Veilcast episode number 9. We will see you next week.